What if I told you there are farmers quietly pulling in $50,000 a year from animals most people have never even heard of? No cows, no chickens, no pigs. These are overlooked niche livestock with profit margins that make traditional farming look like pocket change. Some require less land, less feed, and far lower startup costs, yet generate serious income. In this video, I'm breaking down 7 of the most profitable livestock you probably haven't considered with real income numbers, real case studies, and what it actually takes to make them work. And stick around for number 7. It generates more profit per acre than beef, pork, and lamb combined. Let's get into it. Before we start, if you're serious about building real farm income instead of hobby money, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week, we break down practical numbers-backed strategies that can actually move the needle on your operation. Coturnix quail are absolutely exploding right now, and most people have no idea how profitable these tiny birds can be. You could raise 1,000 of them in your garage, yet they are helping farmers clear $40,000 a year on less than an acre. A single quail lays between 250 and 300 eggs every year. Because quail eggs are considered a delicacy, they're selling for $6 to $8 per dozen at farmers markets, Asian grocery stores, and specialty food shops. The demand is insane and supply can't keep up. But here's where things get really interesting. The meat is even more valuable than the eggs. Dressed quail birds sell for $12 to $16 per pound, sometimes hitting $20 per pound if you've got the right restaurant connections. High-end chefs love them because the flavor's rich, the portion size is perfect for upscale plating, and customers are willing to pay premium prices for something they can't get at the grocery store. Now here's what makes quail different from almost every other livestock option. These birds grow incredibly fast. They're ready to process in just 6 to 8 weeks. That means you can run multiple harvest cycles in a single season. Compare that to chickens that take 4 to 5 months or cattle that take 18 to 24 months. The turnover is lightning fast. Let me give you a real example. There's a homesteader in Oregon running 1,200 Coturnix quail on less than half an acre of land. Between egg sales and meat sales, they're grossing over $40,000 annually. They sell everything direct to consumer through farmers markets, online ordering, and a small network of local restaurants. Their biggest challenge isn't raising the birds or managing the operation, it's keeping up with customer demand. People are literally asking to be put on waiting lists. The startup costs for quail are minimal compared to traditional livestock. You don't need massive barns or expensive equipment. Basic housing, feeders, waterers, and good breeding stock will get you started. Feed costs are low because quail are small, and you can start with just 50 to 100 birds to test the market before scaling up. The key is finding your buyers first. Urban areas and regions with strong foodie culture are ideal because people understand what quail eggs and meat are worth. Asian communities especially have strong demand for quail eggs. If you're in a rural area with limited specialty food interests, you might need to do more education and marketing. But once people try quail eggs or taste the meat, they become repeat customers. This isn't a commodity market where you're competing on price. You're selling a premium product that people can't find anywhere else, which means you control the pricing. If you can build relationships with 3 to 5 restaurants or get consistent farmers market sales, you can scale this operation quickly and profitably. There are farmers right now turning food waste and manure into premium protein and banking serious income. I'm talking about black soldier fly larvae, and this is one of the fastest growing profit opportunities in agriculture. The world is desperate for sustainable protein right now. Farmers raising chickens, fish hatcheries, pet food manufacturers, they're all looking for alternatives to expensive soy and fish meal. Black soldier fly larvae solve that problem. These larvae eat food scraps, manure, agricultural waste, basically any organic material, and convert it into high-quality protein and fat. The dried larvae sell for $4 to $8 per pound, and there's strong demand from poultry farmers, aquaculture operations, reptile breeders, and pet food suppliers. But it gets better. The byproduct from this process is called frass, and it's a nutrient-rich organic fertilizer that gardeners and organic farmers pay premium prices for. You're creating 2 revenue streams from waste. Here's a real case study. A farmer in Florida built a small-scale black soldier fly operation using food scraps from local restaurants. He processes about $200 lobby of larvae per week on just a few hundred square FT of space. His monthly revenue runs between $500 and $2,000 from what used to be trash headed to the landfill. And if you're raising your own chickens, pigs, or fish, the larvae become free high-protein feed for your own animals. It's a closed-loop system that cuts your feed costs while creating a sellable product. The startup costs are relatively low. You need climate-controlled space, breeding stock, and containers for the larvae to process organic waste. Some farmers start with just 100 square FT and scale as demand grows. The key is lining up buyers before you scale. Talk to local poultry farmers. Check if there are fish hatcheries in your area. Reach out to pet stores that sell reptiles and exotic birds, and connect with organic gardeners who will buy the frass. You need consistent demand because larvae production is ongoing. But once you establish those buyer relationships, this becomes a steady income stream with minimal labor. You're not dealing with large animals that need constant care. The larvae do the work for you. This model works best if you have access to consistent organic waste streams and buyers who understand the value of insect protein. Urban and suburban areas often have both. Let's talk about game birds, specifically pheasants and partridges, because this is a market most farmers never even consider. If you've ever wondered where upscale restaurants and hunting preserves get their birds, they're paying top dollar and they'll buy everything you can produce. A dressed pheasant sells for $18 to $25 per bird wholesale. Restaurants serving high-end clientele love them because the flavor is completely different from chicken or turkey. The meat is darker, richer, and has that wild game quality that defines premium dining experiences. Then you've got hunting preserves and private hunting clubs that stock thousands of birds every season for shoots and hunts. They need reliable suppliers and they're willing to pay premium prices for healthy, flight-ready birds. Here's a real example. A farm in Texas dedicated 10 acres to raising pheasants and cleared over $60,000 in a single season. They split their sales between restaurant contracts and a nearby hunting preserve that couldn't source enough birds locally. The profit margins are strong because you're not competing in commodity poultry markets. You're serving specialty buyers who value quality and consistency. Now let's be real about the challenges. Game birds are flighty and nervous. You need solid fencing, covered runs, and serious predator control because hawks, foxes, coyotes, and raccoons see these birds as easy targets. You'll lose birds if you don't protect them properly. The startup costs are higher than chickens because of the infrastructure requirements. But if you're near metropolitan areas with upscale dining scenes or rural regions with active hunting culture, this niche is wide open. Most conventional farms aren't raising game birds, which means less competition and better pricing power. The key is building relationships with chefs and preserve managers. Once you prove you can deliver quality birds consistently, they'll keep buying from you season after season. Some farms even take deposits months in advance because demand outpaces supply. If you can produce 500 to 1,000 birds per season, you can build a solid 5-figure income stream that runs alongside other farm operations. Meat rabbits, especially heritage breeds like silver fox, Rex, and New Zealand whites, are profit machines that don't get nearly enough attention. Unlike traditional livestock, rabbits grow fast, breed year-round, and take up almost no space. A single doe can produce up to 200 pounds of meat per year. Think about that. 200 OELB from one breeding animal. And that meat sells for $8 to $12 per pound when you're marketing direct to consumer. The math gets even better when you factor in the pelts. Rabbit hides sell for $5 to $10 each, and there's steady demand from crafters, tanners, and fashion designers who use them for clothing, accessories, and home goods. You've got multiple income streams from the same animals. Here's a real example that'll open your eyes. A homestead in North Carolina runs just 40 rabbits on 1 acre and nets around $35,000 annually. They sell meat at farmers markets and to boutique butchers, and they sell hides to local crafters and online through Etsy and specialty forums. Their startup costs were a fraction of what you'd spend on cattle or pigs. You don't need massive barns or expensive equipment. Hutches, feeders, breeding stock, and basic supplies will get you going. The feed costs are low because rabbits are small and efficient converters. And because rabbit meat is lean, high in protein, and marketed as a healthy alternative to beef and pork. Demand keeps climbing. Health-conscious consumers, high-end restaurants, and specialty grocers are all looking for rabbit, and most can't find reliable local suppliers. The breeding cycle is fast. Rabbits reach market weight in 8 to 12 weeks, and does can have multiple litters per year. That means consistent income throughout the year, not just seasonal harvests. The key to success with rabbits is direct marketing. You're not selling to commodity buyers who will pay bottom dollar. You're building relationships with customers who value quality, local sourcing, and unique proteins. Farmers markets are perfect for this because you can educate customers, offer samples, and build loyalty. Some rabbit farmers also partner with farm-to-table restaurants that feature rabbit on their menus as a specialty item. Once you establish those channels, scaling becomes easier because you know exactly how much demand you need to meet. This works best in areas with strong farmers, market culture, or proximity to upscale dining. If you're in a rural area with limited specialty food interest, online sales and regional delivery can fill the gap. Breeds like Mangalitsa, Mulefoot, and Kunakune are in a completely different league from commercial pork, and the profit margins prove it. Chefs, butchers, and food enthusiasts literally compete for heritage pork because the meat is richer, darker, and loaded with marbling you simply cannot get from commodity breeds. And that premium quality translates directly to premium pricing. Heritage pork routinely sells for $14 to $22 per pound, and specialty cuts like Mangalitsa lardo or prosciutto can fetch even higher prices. There's a small farm in Tennessee running just 5 Mangalitsa sows on pasture, and they're netting over $45,000 per year, selling directly to restaurants and local markets. Because these pigs thrive on grass, acorns, roots, and farm scraps, feed costs stay relatively low compared to conventional pork operations. That drives your profit margins through the roof. But here's what really separates heritage pigs from everything else. These breeds open doors to collaborations and sales channels that most farmers never even think about. Some producers are partnering with chefs for whole animal sales, where the restaurant buys the entire pig at a premium price and features it in a special tasting menu or event. Those deals can lock in $3,000 to $5,000 per transaction instead of piecing out individual cuts. You're not just selling pork. You're selling a story, an experience, a product that customers can't get anywhere else. The farm-to-table movement is driving massive demand for heritage breeds because people want to know where their food comes from, and they're willing to pay for quality and ethical farming practices. Mangalitsa especially has a cult following because of its incredible fat quality and Hungarian heritage. Chefs use the fat for charcuterie, baking, and high-end cooking applications. Now let's talk about the challenges. Heritage pigs grow slower than commercial breeds, which means longer time to market. They also need space to roam and forage because that's what develops the flavor and fat quality. You can't just stick them in a confinement system and expect premium results. But if you have pasture or woodland, these pigs will thrive. The key to profitability is access to high-end buyers. If you're trying to sell heritage pork into commodity markets, you'll get commodity prices, and this whole model falls apart. You need relationships with chefs, boutique butchers, and direct consumers who understand what they're paying for. Build those relationships first, then scale your breeding program to meet demand. Some heritage pig farmers also add value by making their own charcuterie, sausages, and specialty products, which increases profit margins even more. If you can get $15 to $20 per pound instead of $6 to $8, you're looking at 2 to 3 times the revenue from the same animal. Emus and ostriches are sitting on 3 separate profit streams that barely anyone is tapping into. And the income potential is staggering. We're talking about meat, oil, and hides, all from the same birds. Let's start with emu oil because this is where things get absolutely wild. Emu oil is used in cosmetics, skincare products, natural health remedies, and even pharmaceutical applications. It sells for over $150 per gallon wholesale, and demand is climbing every year. A single adult emu produces about 2 gallons of oil per harvest. Do the math. Just 10 birds could generate $3,000 in oil revenue alone before you've even touched the meat or hides. The meat itself is lean, red, and classified as a healthy alternative to beef. It's high in protein, low in fat, and has a mild flavor that appeals to health-conscious consumers. Emu meat sells for $15 to $25 per pound in the exotic protein market. And ostrich meat commands similar prices. Then you've got the hides. Fashion houses, leather crafters, and luxury goods manufacturers pay premium rates for emu and ostrich leather because of its unique texture and durability. It's used in boots, handbags, wallets, and high-end accessories. That's a third income stream stacked on top of oil and meat. Here's a case study that'll blow your mind. A Texas farm raising just 15 breeding pairs of emus is grossing over $100,000 annually by diversifying across all three products. They sell oil to skincare companies and natural health retailers. They sell meat to specialty butchers and online customers. And they sell hides to leather craftsmen. Now let's be honest about what it takes. The infrastructure costs are higher up front. You need serious fencing because emus and ostriches are powerful birds that can jump and kick. Handling these birds isn't for beginners. They can be aggressive during breeding season, and you need to know what you're doing to stay safe. You also need more space than quail or rabbits. Each bird needs room to run and exercise. But for farms looking to stand out in a crowded market, the profit potential is unmatched. Almost nobody's raising emus and ostriches at commercial scale in the US, which means you're stepping into a market with very little competition and buyers who are desperate for reliable suppliers. The key is targeting premium markets. For oil, that means skincare companies, natural health stores, and wellness brands. For meat, that means specialty butchers, exotic protein retailers, and health-conscious consumers. For hides, that means leather crafters and fashion designers. Once you establish those buyer relationships, this becomes a high-margin operation. You're not competing on price because there's a limited supply. You're competing on quality and consistency. American bison are driving some of the highest profit margins in agriculture. Most people think of this animal as history, something from the Old West. But today, demand for bison meat is skyrocketing because of its lean, nutrient-dense profile and massive popularity with health-conscious consumers. Bison meat is higher in protein and lower in fat than beef, and it has a rich, slightly sweet flavor that people love. Because production is still limited and most bison are raised on small to mid-sized ranches, prices stay incredibly high. Retail bison meat sells for $16 to $22 per pound, and premium cuts like ribeye and tenderloin can fetch $25 to $35 per pound. Here's what makes bison different. They thrive on pasture-based systems and need fewer inputs than cattle while delivering significantly better returns. They're hardier, more disease-resistant, and better suited to marginal land that might not support cattle well. According to USDA data, many small-scale bison operations are earning 2 to 3 times more net income per acre than comparable beef cattle operations. Let me give you a concrete example. Sweetgrass Bison Ranch in Montana runs fewer than 80 animals on about 100 acres and grosses over $200,000 annually. They sell through a combination of direct-to-consumer online sales, farmers markets, and wholesale contracts with restaurants. And because there's so little large-scale competition in the bison market, they're often sold out months in advance. Customers pre-order quarters and halves before the animals are even ready for harvest. The demand is there and supply can't keep up. Now let's talk about what it takes. Bison require more land than quail or rabbits. That's obvious. And you need serious fencing. Bison are powerful animals that can jump 6 feet and crash through weak fences. You need at least 5 to 6 FTE high-tensile wire or pipe fencing to contain them safely. The startup investment is higher than most other livestock because of land and infrastructure requirements. But on a per-acre basis, nothing else on this list comes close to the profitability potential. If you've got the space or you're working towards acquiring land, bison are quietly becoming one of the highest-performing livestock businesses in the country. The key is establishing your market before you scale. Build relationships with restaurants. Develop a direct-to-consumer sales channel through a website or farmers markets, and consider joining bison associations that connect producers with buyers. Once you've got steady demand, you can scale your herd knowing exactly where the meat will go. Some bison ranchers also add value by making their own ground meat, sausages, and specialty products, which increases margins. The farm-to-table movement and the growing demand for grass-fed, ethically raised meat are driving this market, and bison check every box consumers are looking for. Let's break this down by category so you can figure out what fits your situation. If you need fast turnaround, quail win, 6 to 8 weeks from hatch to harvest. For highest dollar value products, emus and ostriches dominate with that oil, hides, and meat combination. Best for small spaces, quail, rabbits, and black soldier fly larvae. For stacking profits and systems, combine larvae with quail for closed-loop operations. And for long-term potential with land, bison lead in per-acre profitability. Here's the truth. Real money exists in unusual livestock, but you've got to match the right animal to your land and your market. Start small, test demand, build direct relationships, and scale when you've proven the model works. In the next video, we're covering the 5 fastest-growing livestock markets projected to double by 2030. If you want to lock in premium contracts before big players move in, you can't miss it. Hit like if this opened your eyes, subscribe for weekly profit strategies, and comment which animal you're considering. Let's keep building. If these unconventional farming strategies change the way you look at the potential of your land, please subscribe and like the video. We are uncovering the agricultural secrets and historical methods that have been overlooked for far too long. Let's cultivate a more profitable future together. The next treasure trove of farming insights will be opening soon.